Francisco stood alone at the bus stop, the faint glow of dawn breaking through the mist. The street was silent, the world still waking up, except for one thing. Across the street, a lone coyote emerged from the fog, its glowing yellow eyes locking onto his. They stared at each other, frozen in a tense stillness that felt like it lasted forever. Then, the bus horn shattered the moment. Startled, Francisco turned his head, but when he looked back, the coyote was gone, as if it had never been there at all. As the school bus pulled up to the stop, Francisco hesitated, his eyes scanning the empty street where the coyote had stood. The bus driver greeted him cheerfully. But when Francisco asked about the coyote, the driver's confusion only deepened his unease. No one else had seen it. Climbing aboard, Francisco couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him, even as the bus rumbled down the road, carrying him to school. At recess, Francisco tried to forget the morning's strange encounter. The sun was shining, the schoolyard alive with the laughter of students. But then he saw it, a deer standing at the edge of the field, still as a statue, staring at him with unblinking eyes. The world seemed to fall away as the boy and the animal locked gazes, the moment stretching unnaturally. A loud pop snapped Francisco out of his trance. And when he looked back, the deer had vanished. It was as if it had never existed. Shaken, Francisco sought refuge in the bathroom, locking himself in a stall. The muffled sounds of the school faded as he sat, trying to make sense of the disappearing animals. Then, he heard it, a faint, off-key melody. Row, row, row your boat. The eerie singing grew louder, closer, until it was just outside the stall. Clawed fingers raked against the door, followed by a heavy thud, as if something was trying to force its way in. Through the gap in the door, a pale, distorted face flashed into view before vanishing into the shadows. Francisco's heart raced as the bathroom fell silent once more. By the time Francisco returned home, the strange encounters lingered in his mind. But the excitement of the New Year's celebration helped him push the fear aside until the night reminded him he was not alone. After his shower, he felt it, the sensation of being watched. From the frosted bathroom window, he heard gravel crunching outside, faint but frantic footsteps pacing back and forth. Shadows shifted, distorted shapes barely visible in the dim porch light. He backed away, fear tightening in his chest. But the night's festivities soon distracted him once again. Later that night, a voice called to him. "Francisco, come here," it said. His mother's voice, though something felt off. Following the sound, he found himself standing beneath the attic door. It creaked open, and he climbed the ladder, flashlight trembling in his hand. The beam of light swept across the dark attic, landing on something crouched in the corner. The creature was tall and emaciated, its pale skin stretched tight over its bones. Sunken red eyes glowed in the dark, and its mouth curled into an unnatural grin filled with needle-like teeth. It cocked its head and began to sing in a distorted voice. "Row, row, row your boat." Francisco stumbled back in terror. Francisco scrambled down the attic ladder, his heart pounding as he slipped and fell onto the floor below. Above him, the creature lunged for the opening, but he managed to slam the ladder shut just in time. A deafening scream erupted from the attic as the creature banged and clawed at the locked door. Francisco lay on the floor, gasping for breath. The horrifying image of the creature burned into his mind. Days passed, but Francisco couldn't escape the memories of that night. Alone in his room, he stared out into the darkness of the yard, searching for movement. Then, faintly, he saw them, glowing red eyes staring back at him from the shadows. The creature's haunting melody played softly in his mind. "Row, row, row your boat." He realized with chilling certainty it was still watching, waiting,